Are you from California, Oregon, or Nevada? If so, you've probably heard of the San Andreas Fault. The large geological fracture extends through all three states and has been monitored by experts for years. The San Andreas Fault is one of the most well-known geological forces on the planet. It is a network of two long parallel faults that stretch along North America's western coast. The San Andreas Fault is on the verge of causing a massive tragedy. The San Andreas Fault is like a ticking time bomb, a powerful force that is waiting to unleash its energy with catastrophic consequences. Greetings everyone! We hope you liked today's video, in which we will have a look at San Andreas Fault and whether it's about to cause a major disaster. But before we dive into that, make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you never miss an update. The San Andreas Fault has long been a source of fear for Silicon Valley residents. It is the source of seismic activity and is due for a large earthquake. The problem is also said to be on the verge of causing a major tragedy. Scientists have reported that the San Andreas Fault is on the verge of causing a huge earthquake. If you live in any of the three states mentioned, you should stay updated to current on the newest news. Take all essential precautions if you're in an earthquake zone. Thomas Jordan, the director of the Southern California Earthquake Center, recently delivered an announcement that should have sent shivers down the spines of all Californians. The San Andreas Fault appears to be in a critical state, and as such, a significant earthquake is approaching. The reiteration of the seismic peril to Californians is not shocking, but the warning that the southern portion of the fault looks like it's locked, loaded, and ready to go is. What might possibly be the motivation behind this renowned seismologist's scary statements? Since 1857, the southern sector of San Andreas Fault system has not experienced a significant release of stresses due to the fact that there has not been a large earthquake there since 1857. The San Andreas Fault is just one of several fault systems that approximately characterize the boundary between the North American and Pacific tectonic plates. To put it another way, the San Andreas is a mountain range. Both plates are moving in what may be described as a roughly northerly direction. However, the Pacific plate is moving at a rate that is considerably higher than that of its North American counterpart. This means that strains are continually building up between the two plates. Some of these tensions were released catastrophically in the San Francisco Bay Area in 1906 during an event of 7.8 magnitudes, and then again in Northern California with a 6.9 magnitude Loma Prieta earthquake in 1989. Both of these events occurred in California. Events of these magnitudes, however, have not occurred along the San Andreas Fault in the south of the state. The 1994 Northridge event was associated with a nearby but separate fault system, leading to the suggestion that one is imminent, and given the amount of stress that might actually have accumulated, when it arrives it'll be the big one. Events of these magnitudes, however, have not occurred along the San Andreas Fault in the north of the state. The 1994 Northridge event was associated with a nearby. But how big is major? In other words, how big of an earthquake could this be? And is it likely that the devastation depicted in the film San Andreas could actually occur? In a nutshell, residents of California are going to be, to a certain extent, satisfied with the responses to these questions. In the movie, the San Andreas Fault is responsible for an earthquake that registers a magnitude of 9.0. In general, earthquakes of this magnitude are confined to parts of the globe where subduction is taking place, which is when one tectonic plate is being forced below another. For example, Chile and Japan are both examples of regions on the planet where subduction is taking place. The tectonic activity in California is distinct from that in other states. At this point, two plates are moving past each other in a sliding motion. As a result, the most recent predictions put the maximum possible earthquake magnitude along the San Andreas Fault system at 8.0, despite the fact that there is only a 7% probability estimate that such an event could occur in Southern California in the next 30 years. However, there is a 75% chance of an event with a magnitude of 7.0 occurring during the same time period. Although the differences between magnitudes 7.0, 8.0, and 9.0 may appear to be negligible, there is a significant difference in the amount of energy that would be released by such events. An event with a magnitude 9.0 would release 32 times more energy than an event with a magnitude 8.0, and a magnitude 9.0 would release 1,000 times more energy than a magnitude 7.0. Damage is certain to occur regardless of the magnitude of the earthquake, whether it measures 7.0 or 8.0. But the entire chain of events that are presented in the movie is highly improbable. For instance, The San Andreas Fault does not run beneath any body of water. As a consequence, any movement along it cannot displace water to the degree that would cause a tsunami to be generated. As the tectonic plates are sliding relative to one another and not away from one another, the formation of a gigantic chasm is another element that belongs in the realm of fiction. What is realistic is that a significant amount of destruction is likely. While California's building standards are severe, advocating seismic protective measures for older buildings and prohibiting the construction of new buildings along known fault lines, there is no way to make a building completely safe. Predicting devastation. The United States Geological Survey modeled a 7.8 magnitude event with slippage of 2 to 7 meters to represent the stresses that have built up in the area since the last large event, in an effort to gain a better understanding of the effects that would be caused by a large earthquake in the southern part of the San Andreas Fault. It was determined using this model that the constructions that straddled the fault would sustain the greatest amount of damage. Since the passing of the Alquist-Priolo Earthquake Fault Zoning Act in 1972, thankfully, projects of this kind have become exceedingly uncommon. The 966 roads, 90 fiber optic cables, 39 gas pipes, and 141 power lines that span the fault zone are the ones that stand to be impacted by this movement. It was predicted that the overall cost of damage to structures was $33 billion, with contemporary buildings faring well, but older buildings being especially susceptible to damage. Modern buildings fared well. As gas mains and water mains become severed, fires will break out, as they did after the Northridge earthquake. In fact, the damage that will result from the fires is predicted to be more costly than the damage that would result from the initial shaking. It is thought that 1,800 people have died in total. And just when it seems like things can't get any worse, the main event will have upset the region's tectonics so much that a series of aftershocks that could be very strong will start. In 2011, Christchurch, New Zealand was hit by an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.2. Since then, the city and the area around it have felt more than 10,000 aftershocks. Luckily, the movie San Andreas is all made up. It has the same level of exaggeration that we've come to expect from Southern California-based filmmakers. Still, it is very likely that the San Andreas will cause a big earthquake in the not-too-distant future. When it gets there, it'll do a lot of damage, and Southern California will be hit hard. But Californians are used to these things, and the state's infrastructure has been built with earthquake safety in mind in recent years. Don't worry about tsunamis or deep chasms opening up, but do expect the ground to shake violently, buildings to be damaged, fires to start, and the economy to be affected in a wide range of ways, as the area can be shut down for a long time. So in other words, keep your earthquake kit stocked up and your wits about you. Let us know what you think about the San Andreas Fault. Will it cause havoc on such a massive level, or is it just an exaggeration? Did you find the subject and video interesting? Subscribe to the channel and share the video with your friends.